All right, guys, this is episode 4 of Chasing Greatness. Thank you all so much for continuing to tune in and want to be a part of just this beautiful journey of life that we're going to continue to invest into. We're going to invest into ourselves, but we're also going to invest into you guys. Now we've officially hit, I think, 7 followers, and we're super excited about that. I think we have a few more than that. But I was just talking earlier with our team about how we're going to be at 200 episodes before we know it. We're going to be at 2,000 episodes before we know it because we have so much that we want to share with you guys. And today, I've got a beautiful guest that I'm going to be sharing with you. He's one of our top agents. He's been with me for a long time. We've lived a lot of life together. Our families live life together, but we do business and our personal lives together, which is a beautiful thing. This guy's had tons of success. I'm not going to dive into all the accolades that he's had, all the things that he's overcome, all the accomplishments, and I'm not even going to dive into all the failures. I'm going to let us have a conversation today about what it looks like to continue to chase greatness, but even more than that, to chase greatness with a group of people that you absolutely love spending time with, right? And we call that our community. My wife has a group of people that she doesn't call her community. She calls them her tribe. You can call them whatever you want to call them, but you have a group of people around you that you get to live life with, and you get to hopefully pursue your greatest life with along the way. So today I want to welcome Mr. David Lipford to our show.
What's up?
Holy cow, man.
Oh, boy.
You did it. First official guest, right?
Yeah.
So Whitney and I, we've started this, and you get to come in here and be a guest. And I was like, when I walked in and I realized that you were going to be our guest, I was like, holy cow. Who better to be one of our first guests than one of the craziest, wildest guys I know? I call him my little bulldog. He actually sold my oldest child, his first house. I didn't even sell my children their first house. This guy sold my child because he is a bulldog. That's why. He is amazing, and he also gets stuff done. But he is just a beautiful friend of mine, and I'm excited to share him with you today. So we've been talking about for the last several months, we've been talking about what it looks like to win the game of life and how powerful our minds are to dictate this beautiful game of life. And I've been developing and been showing and sharing with them what I call the field of dreams, right? And that's a field that if you play like a baseball diamond, that if you play the game correctly, and if you know the rules to the game at the highest level, you can win the game before you ever even start playing. Most people are hoping to play the game and eventually win.
Right.
Whereas for me, I would rather know that I can win the game because I know the rules, I know the outcome that already exists if I just play at the highest level before I ever even step up to the plate.
That's good.
And stepping up to the plate for us is commitment, right? And that is one of the biggest problems I think that we face right now, at least I think that we face in this world, is we have too many people that aren't committed. They aren't committed to school as a young child.
Right.
They're not committed to their families. Right? They're not committed to their sports. Every time they have a tough game or they don't do or hit all the marks, I watch these T-ballers. And the first time that they don't get a hit or they don't get a first base, what do they want to do? As a T-baller, they want to cry.
Yeah.
Have you watched? I mean, your kids are at that age, right?
Yeah, I mean, you see little Meadow. She's balling out in the swinging cage, and she loves to hit the ball. But like when she doesn't, you have to prop them up and go, look, we're chasing that moment.
That's right.
To hit the ball. But I love that your podcast is called Chasing Greatness because I've always done that in whatever I do. Because my dad, Marine style, he's always told me, I don't care if it's scrubbing a toilet. You got to be the greatest at what you are trying to accomplish.
That's right.
Period.
That's right.
And so nobody is a better visionary for you. Like, let me just give you a second for just one moment and commend you in your vision of greatness. Because for a long time, I've always seeked somebody that has tremendous vision. A lot of people just don't want greatness. They want average. You know, they want to be comfortable. I always think that change is based on 3 things. It's based on you have to gather knowledge.
Right. Keep talking.
You have to gather knowledge, whatever that knowledge may be.
Right.
You have to believe it. And then you have to apply.
That's right.
If you don't do those
So hold on,
three
let's go
things-
back. You have to gather it.
Yeah.
You have to believe it, and then you have to apply it.
Period.
GBAT. I don't like that. But I love those three things.
Yeah, but
I like that.
What we're talking about, the greatness that we're chasing, is like, man, you know, when I was trying to get a better tribe around me, it really became, my moment was when Kat got pregnant with Mason, right? So we're like, oh goodness, we're about to bring another human being into this world. I got to get better, right? I know I'm a knucklehead, and I'm okay with that, but I needed to understand how I can chase greatness that God wants for me, greatness that I want for myself, and so forth. So it was a beautiful way that I personally believe we got connected through mutual people that we know, and it's like sometimes the right things just fall into place.
Yeah. I have something, and as a part of sharing David with you all today, because that's what this is about. This is not just about me or our companies or our success. It's about sharing all the people that have made up all these beautiful things in our life with you guys. So I just want you all to know that first and foremost. I had a little statement as I was preparing today. I had a statement, and I don't have it memorized because I just came up with it. But I had a statement in reference to David as part of the way I wanted to introduce him to you today. And here's what I said. I said, he went from serving soft drinks and cocktails to serving the successful with shelter and security in their life. Right?
Ooh,
pretty cool. Pretty cool. And that's who David is. David is a servant at the highest level. And so, Dave, share with us a little bit about your background. I know you were getting ready to dive into how we got connected, and then that'll play a part into your background. But share your background leading up to when we got connected.
Yeah, so, you know, born and raised in Nashville, local yokel. I was born on the west side of town. My wife was born on the east side of town. We, you know, been here our whole lives, and ultimately I was, you know, at 16 years old, I was going to Hillwood High School. My neighbor was a banquet director at a local country club. She's like, you want to come check coats one day? And I'm like, check coats? What does that even mean? She's like, hang rich people's coats up when they enter the building. I'm like, okay. So I'm just this little country boy in there, and before I know it, I'm getting mink coats thrown at me and from country music stars, and I walk away from there like $300-400. I'm like, this was easy. I want to serve.
Checking coats.
Yeah, checking coats,
wow.
right? And what I didn't realize, it was a country music association, and all the country music stars were in there. Yeah. And they just tip everybody, right? So what I realized was from an early age, I was like, all my other friends were like serving at TGI Fridays and serving at, you know, like just basic places, right? And I like
Chili's.
Yeah, and I like Taco Bell, but my point being is I wanted to serve like people that were accomplished. You know, I wanted to serve greatness.
So you were very intentional about that.
Yeah, I was very intentional about that, mainly because I didn't want to serve my knucklehead friends at Chili's either. When they walk up in there and like, let me get a discount, I'm like, bro, there ain't no discounts. So we went in, and I went down that progression. I went from waiting tables, bussing tables, bartending, managing bars, managing the restaurant, managing the whole food and beverage operation at multiple high-end country clubs, even all the way through college and into my 20s. And, you know, eventually, you know, met Kat, and here comes babies, right? So I'm like, I cannot work 80 hours a week, nights and weekends and holidays, and be away from my family. So what types of
places did you serve? Because I know you served, but even prior to that, what types of places did you serve at?
Yeah, so Hillwood Country Club was the first one, right next to Hillwood.
So country clubs.
Yep.
And Hillwood is a very nice country club around here, and then you've served at some other country clubs as well.
Right. So I was at Belmead Country Club for about a decade.
Okay.
So that was probably one of the highest end clubs here around Nashville.
Yeah.
And then I went to Clarksville Country Club while I was in college at Austin Peay. And then I also came back. I wanted to kind of learn more about mass quantity food and beverage. So I was at Gaylord Opryland for a little while. That wasn't a great fit for me because it was so big, and I didn't feel like my gifts were going to be used the best. So I got into convention centers, and I helped open Music City Center downtown Nashville. Yeah. So that huge convention center.
So you went from big to bigger.
Right. And they were flying me to football stadiums and different venues and serving food and beverage at the highest level, 70,000. We had 60,000 for CMAs. We were doing sit-down 5-course dinners for 20,000 stadium ticket holders at the Titan Stadium.
All the places that you served at, which one stands out as like, this was it? Like, this was my sweet spot. This is the place that gave me energy. This is the place where I knew I thrived at, right?
Yeah.
Because you did the smaller, intimate settings, right? Super exclusive. And then you did the big masses as well.
Right. I want to say probably the most impactful for me was when I first started serving. It was actually in the men's grill at Hillwood Country Club.
Okay.
I had Big Rob there. He was there for like 30 years. Been serving there since the 50s.
Big Rob.
And shout out to Big Rob. He taught me a lot, brother.
I feel like I'm on an episode of Theo Vaughn right now. I'm getting ready to hear a story about Big Rob.
But Big Rob, man, like he knew everybody. Not only know everybody, he knew their kids. He knew what they did for a living. Probably knew their net worth for all I know, but he literally knew everybody. He knew their favorite candy bar. He knew what they had to drink. And so when they came in as a men's grill private country club establishment, he literally already had everything taken care of. And so as a young cat coming in, I got full of energy. I'm ready to go. But he's like, no, little pup, you settle down.
That's right.
Let me show you how to serve.
Okay.
And then he always would have that connection, right? So I learned from some of the elite early on.
So you were impacted because of mentorship there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And then what I realized was it isn't about just giving someone a menu and saying, here, pick your choice.
Right.
It's about really catering to people at a higher level. And I got to learn from some of the elite early on. And these are men, especially, I always call them the card players, the men that are like in their 70s and 80s and lived a lot of life and accomplished a lot of things in life, and they just want to chill. They just want to sit, play cards, might play around once a month, but literally just play cards and have fellowship and community. I learned from those old guys early on. So that was the most impactful.
Okay. I think about jobs that I've had just real quick, because one of the most impactful jobs that I had prior to running companies, right, was working in the nursing home. And it was almost for the exact same reason, is that you had all these people that had all this wisdom, and they just were at the tail end of their life, and no one was asking them about their wisdom. And I went in, and I wanted to be the rare air, right? And I wanted to breathe life into them.
Yep.
And with breathing life into them, they shared so much of their life with me.
So good.
Buddy, and I mean, I just got cold chills thinking about it. Like, literally, holy cow, my legs are just, it's crazy just thinking about how powerful the wisdom that they gave me and how they spoke so much of my life and what I do today into me just because I breathed a little bit of life into them. Yeah. So now you and Kat, you all meet up at the convention center, right? And then you all are of child,
right? And
you're like, holy cow, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And so you made some choices at this point. Yeah.
Figure it out. I knew I had an idea I wanted to do, and I wanted to do real estate, but I interviewed at other brokerages. I went and talked to other country club members that were in real estate. I talked to a lot of other people that I knew in real estate, because we all know a ton of people, right?
Right.
And as a young guy in his 20s, I'm like trying to figure out what the differences between brokerages were. You know, you hang a license, you got one office person, you got a broker, he is responsible for your stuff, and here you go, here's the Shark Tank, go swim.
There it is.
Right?
There it is.
And so when I was introduced to you, it was through some fellow food and beverage folks.
We'll go back before you even talk about introduce the transition, right? You're a child, right? You're thinking differently.
Yes.
Right? And you're like, holy cow, I can't keep doing what I'm doing to get what I want. Right?
Correct.
So just walk me through some of your mind shifts.
So
in that moment,
I think when you look at your leadership in general, in whatever business that you're in, you need to look at what their lives are like.
Yeah.
You know, so if you want to pursue greatness at the highest level and you see greatness, you know what that looks like. A lot of food and beverage at the highest level are miserable. I mean, their marriages are in shambles. Their kids hate them because they're always gone. They don't have the relationships with life that they want. And for me, I wanted to be the dad that I knew I was called to be. You know, I have a good dad, but like I wanted to be great. And when you know a little one's coming to you, you're like, okay, now motivation is on a whole different level. So I knew I didn't want to work those late hours. I needed to find a day gig where I could bust my hump and hang my cleats up at the end of the day and know, listen, I gave it all today. And my all is good enough. That's what my friend Whitney King taught me. You do your best and your best is good enough.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yep. So you said, hey, I want to be able to have something during the day so that way in the evenings, when I've given all that I have, I've got a little bit left over for my family.
That's right.
And I say that very seriously because that's how we think early in our lives. I want to have a little bit left over for my family.
And back then, it was better than nothing.
It was 100% better than nothing because the way I grew up, I had a fantastic family, you know, and I had parents that I came home to that loved me deeply, and they were amazing at loving me. But the problem is they were so exhausted, they couldn't share it.
That's right.
Right? And so you can have all the love in the world, but if you don't exchange that with somebody, it don't mean nothing. I had a guy tell me one time, he goes, I can tell you that I love you, but if I don't hug you every now and then, it doesn't mean a thing.
Ooh. Come on, let's hug.
Let's hug. Coming in. But what I mean by that is that that's how we start. And so you were making the first step. You were taking the first step to making change in your life, right? And you knew that the change had to be about the people that you were surrounding yourself with and that you were also following too. Right, at that point. So now, fast forward, you and I get a chance to meet up. Yeah.
And so I think the biggest game changer for me is like I've been around, like I said, country clubs. You know, at that point it had been 18 years in the food and beverage industry.
What was the longest you were ever? What was the longest stint that you were ever at a country club or convention center?
Well, you know, I did Governor's Club, Clarksville Country Club, Belmead, Hillwood. It would probably be Belmead. I was at Belmead for 10 years.
10 years, okay.
Yeah.
So how many more years do we have to go to get 10 years?
Well, only a year.
I know, we're at 9 years. That's awesome.
But I will say that, like, when I was pursuing, you know, something great, you were different in the way, like, I always had resumes printed out. I'm like trying to sell myself. Like, that's literally what I tell people all the time. Like, the best do. Now, you were like, bro, what is that? Bro, go take that resume back to the car. I don't know what you're doing. And I think we met for lunch one day at Jonathan's.
We did meet at Jonathan's, right there in those high tops next to the bar.
Yeah. And you just wanted to know me. Yeah. And that it automatically took my posture at like, okay. Because I got the advice is that you need to be yourself, but just cut a few more F-bombs out because Ben will not tolerate that. Because I'm coming from food and beverage,
right,
brother, and it's in that environment, and it's like construction almost.
That's
like,
right.
Man, there's some foul mouths and just.
It's the funniest thing. So growing up playing sports, growing up and just, you know, always going and being a part of some really cool things and big things, God has blessed me so much with people that love to drop the F-bomb. It's unbelievable how many people are like, now, cussing's never been my thing, right?
Right.
And it's just never been how I communicated, but it's crazy how that happens, right? And how that attractive. But I will take it because some of my best friends, some of the best people in my life, right? If I would have had this like legalistic viewpoint on how they communicated and didn't see their heart, but rather just listen to their mouth, then I would have missed out on a lot of beautiful people in my life.
Well, your vision...
You being one of them.
Yeah, and your vision helped me understand who truly who I could be destined to be. But I will tell you, in that meeting, I had the advice to just be yourself, David, and just don't cuss as much, right?
That was the advice
That was the advice I was given, right? And so I was just myself because I ain't scared of nothing at that point.
Not.
Like, I'm not going to be intimidated, right? But I definitely enjoyed our just camaraderie and who you were, and I think you enjoyed who I was. And then, you know, there was several more lunches or playing golf or whatever after that, and it was never about like you're coming in to get hired for a job. You need to be prim and proper, you know. And I loved that, and I loved the culture here. Once I actually came here, I learned like not like major real estate companies where everybody's like, oh my God, this deal is gonna die.
Yeah.
they literally were calm. Everybody's paperwork was nice and neat. Their desks were put together. Everybody was put together, and everybody was just professional.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was something that I truly believe. So as you're building out this game of life, and I hope, no, I know they will show, my team will show you all what this visual illustration looks like, this baseball field, this game of life. And I told you, stepping up to home plate is that commitment of life. We were talking off air about that. Stepping up to the plate is just taking action, right? But when you actually take action, and now you're taking and creating momentum, you're creating momentum, you're going to first base. Now you're going, holy cow, I'm succeeding. I'm doing something. I'm running towards first because I know the rules of the game to run to first rather than third, right?
Yeah,
and so I'm running to first, and as I'm running there, all of a sudden you get a reality check. And here's the reality check is, who am I? And that's your character. And even though you're succeeding, your character will start to expose itself at that moment in time. And you go, holy cow, who am I in this moment? And in that moment, you go, I like that. Let's keep going. And I'm going to run all the way through. Or if I'm paying attention, I might get a chance to automatically pass and advance and go to second. But let's assume we ran all the way through the base and I realize who I am and I like who I am.
I get that first.
Right. I get that done. Now I go, hey, I might like who I am, but I don't love that person just yet. So now I got to ask another question in this game of life, and that is, who do I want to be? And these are all things that happen only in action. While you're in action, while you're living life. Most people, they want to get all the answers and then go live life.
Right.
No, you get all the answers while you're living life.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you do that. And for me as a believer, right, this is Easter week, and it's a beautiful thing, and we have all these beautiful emotions, and church is going to be packed out, right? We're going to be inviting all of our friends and everything. Then you have to be willing and have the courage to ask the third question about character. Who's God want me to be? And that is hard.
Yeah.
Because when you get to that moment, you got to make changes. Every time. There is no time when you ask the question of who God wants you. I don't care how awesome you are, David.
Yeah.
I don't care how cool your life is or how and what you're pursuing and how great it's going. When you ask that question, who does God want me to be? Who's he calling me to be? It doesn't matter, because we don't get to arrive until we arrive.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so living this life out, you realize, you go, who I am? I like who I am. I'm a good dude. I'm a big heart. I got a lot to offer this world, right? But who do I really want to be? And you were in that pivotal moment because you were just taking action.
Right.
And so now what do? We get to connected. And we start living life, and you talked about not just the community, but you started talking about the culture that you wanted to be around. You were attracted. Now, this is where I'm going with this. You were attracted, not to me. You were attracted to the culture. You were attracted to the energy that came off.
Way
you were
different than where I was coming
to the
from.
vibe, right? That's what you were attracted to. And that's where people miss the mark. They go, okay, I got the character, I got all this stuff down, I got it all figured out. Now I'm going to make a checklist of everybody and exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to go be awesome in life. No, what happens after you identify your character and who you are, and you're living that life every day, advance to second base. And now second base, for those baseball players, that's scoring position. You understand, that's where you score in life.
That's a great analogy for you, because you were a ball player.
Yeah, that's scoring position. Scoring position isn't what you do, it's who you surround yourself with. That is scoring position, and that's your community. So second base, to me, as a visual illustration, represents my community, right?
Yeah.
And you, ideally, to create the greatest community, and this is where you're pulling in, and this is why I'm pulling you in right now. I'm literally pulling you in physically. But
okay.
When you create the greatest community in your life, the greatest community in your life is a community that you are not just attracted to, it's a community that's also attracted back to you.
That's good. See, 5 years into this role, I started to get calls from one of my best friends, Vance. He's best man in my wedding. My father-in-law, multiple people in my life that were seeing change in me and coming back to me and go, David, I don't know if you realize this, But since you've been at Team Wilson, since you've been around Ben and the culture and everything, we're so proud of you. Like literally so proud of you. It's
and don't
not
we need to
anything I
hear
asked
that?
for.
Don't we need to hear that though?
Yeah, absolutely.
That people that we care about are proud of us.
Yes.
So for those of you all out here listening to this right now, if you haven't told someone that you're super close to, that you are super proud of, that you're proud of them, go do that today. Because I'm just going to tell you, I don't care how successful they are, what they've accomplished, how well they're doing, how confident they are. They need to hear it. They need to hear it. I used to say I only needed to hear words of encouragement from 2 people in my life. As someone who's very confident, right? Very strong, I would say I needed to hear it from my mom and my wife, right? Now I feel like I got to hear it from everybody.
Yeah.
Like I need more encouragement now, and I need more of those words of affirmation now than I've ever needed it. No matter what, it's crazy. So you got it though.
I got it, and you know the enemy and the world, they attack us with distractions all the time. But actually being able to look back and go, man, I wouldn't have the rentals that I have, I wouldn't have passive income, I wouldn't have the farm that I have right now if I didn't follow your leadership and I wasn't at Team Wilson and wasn't in real estate. Not just that, but it's everything that comes with that.
Yeah.
You know, and being able to coach others and lead others, and just in my own personal life, my friends and family coming to me like, hey, what do I do here?
Yeah.
I would never be that guy if I wasn't pursuing greatness at the highest level. I definitely don't have it figured out.
Yeah.
Just bear with me.
Yeah.
But it ain't going to be from a lack of action, because my grandfather was a sharecropper in West Tennessee with 9-10 kids. That dude could work. My father literally worked blue collar Pepsi bottling company here in Nashville, come home just drenched in sweat, been handling all this stuff. I remember those days because I come from a family of workers. So we're full of action. Action is not the problem. It's what are we acting on?
That's right. I love that. Well, if you're willing to do this, I want to bring you back, because I have committed to our group of people, to all the people that follow us, to everyone that gets this and listens to this. I've committed to giving them a super impactful 30 minutes.
I love it.
Super. Which when I get to talking with you, you and I we've spent hours, like 4 or 5 hours talking together. Like it's crazy. We could go all night. So I'm going to call this part 1. And I would love to have you come back for part 2. So part 1 is us laying the foundation of what's gotten you to where you're at right now and what drew you so much to our community, right, in our culture.
I love it.
Then I want to talk about how we build and expand that. Like I think about the prayer of Jabez, how you've expanded your territory and how you've expanded your community and how you continue to take the culture that you've been blessed with and that you've been given and you're a part of, and how you're expanding it into so many other areas of your life. Are you open to that?
Yeah, brother, we got to be a good steward of the time we have.
I love it. So 5 areas of life that I want to introduce you guys to that I think are the most impactful areas of your life. Number 1, and I call it the 5-star life. These 5 areas of your life are very simple. Number 1, your faith. You have to be willing to pursue your faith if you want to have the greatest life. Number 2, your family. You have to be willing to grow and pursue and increase and enhance your family at a high level if you want to have the greatest life. Number 3 is your fitness. If you can't stand and go for the distance and go, somebody told me this, I love this statement, and I'll tell you that I just want to share it. I wasn't sure whether I was going to share it or not, but if you do not exhaust your body, you can't tame your mind. You have to physically go after it, physically, in order to mentally get everything out of your mind and to be able to share at the highest level. So your fitness matters in your longevity of your life. Number 4 is your finances. If you're broke, no one wants anything that you have. I'm just going to tell you. And I mean that. I mean that sincerely. If you are broke, no one wants what you have to offer other than pity and complaining and all of those people. What is it? Misery loves company, right? You're just going to attract more misery. So you got to get your money right. And I'm not saying you got to be a multimillionaire or billionaire. I'm just saying you've got to have more than what you need in life financially in order to share with other people. And then the 5th thing is that you have to think about your future, right? And these are the 5 areas that we focus on. There's a lot of areas. These are just the 5 areas because I needed to simplify my life, right? And so as we build out our community, these are the 5 areas that if we grow these 5 areas, your community will grow, and it will grow you ultimately into the greatest version of yourself as we continue to chase greatness each and every day. David, thank you for your time today, brother.
You got it, man. I meant to ask you that. That is so impactful because 5 stars, we get them all the time, but we got to live life like 5 stars.
You coming from the food and beverage industry, man. You get 5-star Michelin rating.
Hello.
You've arrived.
Come on.
You've arrived, but the problem is there's nowhere up from there.
Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me.
All right, guys. Thank you for your time today.